You're watching Boomer TV live with the internationally renowned Cyndi Dale, healer and author of 27 books about energy medicine, intuition, and spirituality. In the meantime, you will be part of this amazing journey with the Boomer community. Register on the website for the newsletter and qualify for member benefits. And now episode 2 with Cyndi Dale, how to free yourself from energy vampires, people who steal your energy. And here's Cyndi. How to free yourself from energy vampires, people who steal your energy.
And a few years ago, I started to go, where'd all that energy go? Well, there's one place that our energy goes that we can put an end to the leakage, and that is to energy vampires. Those are those people who probably unwittingly and unknowingly steal or take our energy. I'm sure you've experienced it. Have you ever been talking to someone and all of a sudden, and you're just in a good mood, you're exhausted? Or chit-chatted with a stranger, and as you left, you felt, I don't feel very good anymore. Maybe you actually feel sick. Maybe you feel sad and you felt really happy before you met with them, and that spark of life feels doused. Those are energy vampires. Those are people who steal your energy. I almost hate to admit this, but my mother was one of those people for a while before she passed. And in fact, my youngest son would sometimes refuse to go over to her place because he said, Mom, I go sit there and I just can't move after a while. And one time after an experience like that, he actually got sick. He said, I don't know what it is, but it's sort of like she's a vortex and she takes my energy and then I can't do anything for an hour. Now, how come I didn't experience that with my mother? First of all, I know a bit more about energy than my son did when he was younger. And so there are ways you can learn how to deal with energy vampires, or the people who, again, most likely unknowingly take your energy. And it starts with understanding what's happening. When we're growing up, a lot of us develop the pattern or a habit of giving somebody our energy in order to, say, create peace in the household. Maybe when mom was really sad, you wanted to cheer her up, and unconsciously or subconsciously, your best way to do that was to give her some of your happy energy. Maybe when dad was angry, your way of kind of boosting the whole system was to actually take on some of what was making him angry, some of those feelings of anger or disconnect, and try to super please him. While you're doing those kind of exchanges, you're actually performing that not really with your mind, not for yourself in a very conscious way, but through a certain type of your energy. See, energy is information that moves. Everything's made out of energy. My computer, your coffee cup, your thoughts, your memories, something you can't see, like the air, it's absolutely all energy. There are two types of energy, though. There's physical energy, which is measurable. And when somebody steals our energy in a measurable way, it's sort of like they reach out their hand, we give them money, and we have less money. So there might not be vampirizing us unless they're charging too much for the goods. The same kind of exchange or loss can occur with subtle energy, which is your invisible energy. 99.9999% of who you are and what you're about is subtle. It's invisible energy. It's the stuff that we can't measure. It's the information that makes you who you are. It's the way that you think and that you feel. And humans, like all living organisms, are actually made out of gazillions of subtle energy fields of light and sound. You can't see these subtle energy fields. You can't hear these energy fields. But in fact, every cell gives off electricity or energy fields that can't be seen or measured or quantified. So does every organ. So does your brain, but so does your heart. So does your soul. So does the basic essence of who you are. And if you've been raised in a way that common decency or your survival or your way of getting along with people included giving away your vital energy, those aspects of you that you need, those energies that keep you moving, that keep you going, that keep you excited, that keep you happy, that keep you being who you are and blooming. If your survival, especially, was based on you giving that energy away, it's very hard to stop doing that under circumstances that are similar to those you grew up in, because you probably never even knew you were doing it. Most of us have tendencies when it comes to losing our energy. And I want to point out, I'm not overemphasizing the person who takes your energy, because the more you worry about what they're doing and why they're doing it, the less power you have to change your patterning or your habit that might involve this sort of leakage or letting go or release of the vitality and the emotionalism and the mentality that make you who you are and let you keep blooming and driving forward. So you want to change your patterning and let the chips fall where they will with the other person. And so it starts with realizing that, yeah, I've got this pattern or I have this habit. As I was inferring, it's really going to be repetitive situations that trained you to giving away your energy in the first place. So, for instance, when I was growing up, my mom was frequently upset. She and my father didn't get along very well. He was an alcoholic. She eventually became an alcoholic. It was a very morose household. And I think some of us have a lot of the same experiences, even if they're different. And so unconsciously, I learned, that if I gave my vitality to my mom, it would perk her up and she'd have enough energy to make dinner. She'd have enough energy to take care of something that she needed to take care of. And anytime she was super depressed, I would find myself not only exhausted, but also becoming more and more sad or more and more obtusely morose myself. So we actually had an energy exchange that involved me giving her my vitality and taking on what she wasn't able to deal with or cope with. And I didn't live with my mom forever and ever. Once I was 18, I was out on my own. But guess what? I tended to attract people who brought that pattern up in me, sort of depressed, especially men, sort of depressed people who were down and out and wouldn't feel cheery, couldn't get enough energy to make a difference in their lives. And you know what? After a while, I would feel down. I would feel depressed. I took on their sadness, their sense of powerlessness or hopelessness. And typically within a few minutes, or certainly within an hour, they'd be perked up and ready to go. That's patterning. What we learned as a coping mechanism, typically in childhood, we can all too easily carry forward with our subtle self and our subtle energy. Let me give you a picture that might explain what's happening. We all know what an electrical cord looks like. All right, so I think you can see this. Just imagine that this is your typical electrical cord. When you develop a pattern like that, say when you're a child or later in a relationship that's really negative, there's literally a subtle energy cord that grows between you and the other person. And that cord, it looks bigger than this usually. It's sort of like a garden hose, exchanges energy, sometimes just one way, like your good stuff just goes to the other person. All right. Just like with electricity, goes and turns on their light, not your light. Sometimes through that cord, there's a two-way exchange of energy where what you don't really want comes into you and what you need to be yourself, to thrive, to be happy, to go do whatever it is you want to do during the day, smile at people, get your gardening done, read a book, go to your job, whatever, talk to your grandkids, whatever it might be. That vital energy, there's different types. There's physical, emotional, mental, etc. That ends up going to the other person. And yeah, we're not kids anymore, but that cord just keeps moving around with us, attaches to people similar to those with whom we have this patterning, and boom, you're just gone. You're out of it. So some of this is sort of practical common sense based on what I've been saying. How do you know if you've been hit? If you're the gas station for an energy vampire, that person who's either getting your good stuff and or giving you the stuff that you don't want, well, you're almost maybe instantaneously just going to feel tired. You'll feel down. You'll kind of lose track of what you're thinking, of what you want to achieve. Maybe your brain just goes like out there. You're at the grocery store. You know you had a list. You can't even read your list. You know you're not supposed to buy those cupcakes, and you're so tired, you're buying those cupcakes. Lots of times we go for carbs after we've been around people like that. You know, the good foods that aren't so good for you, because our energy, when it's depleted, we want a quick pick me up. All right. You don't really get picked up. You just get tired after a few more minutes. So that's one of the signs. And the other, again, as I've implied, might be, you get into that fatigue mode and then you don't feel like yourself. You don't feel the same mood you did before you interacted with somebody or a group. You can have this happen in a group too. There's group energies. And you just feel down or sad or angry, and you have nothing to be angry about. If you have a rush of feelings, or maybe even start to kind of get sick with no reason, and you've had an interaction, you've probably lost some of your energy, and you may or may not have taken on what's not yours. So what do? I mean, whatever it is you do from a spiritual or religious or therapeutic point of view, work on it that way in your own time. I usually work on my inner issues when I'm outside. I get up in the morning, I grab my dogs, I'm at the dog park by 4:30. Sometimes there's somebody else there with his dog. It's super great, but we don't talk that much. That's my quiet time. That's how I meditate, is on the move. You can meditate when you're sitting, when you're praying, whatever works for you. And that's when I go, you know what? Did I lose some energy yesterday? What happened? Did I take on something that's not mine? And again, I go to my own higher power and I say, just clean me, wash me, show me if there's some habit in here and why I have it, and how I can fix my memories, how I can do this a different way, how I can bless somebody who's like my parents or like my trainers, instead of lose myself to them. In the moment, there's some great practices as well. You might feel a tightness in a part of your body with that loss of energy or influx of sensations that don't feel right to you. Breathe into that tight area, ask for grace, do some praying, quickly meditate, ask your guidance, ask your inner wise self, ask your higher power to release you, help you work on that later. Sometimes you just have to get out of the room. I know for me, when I start to feel that sensation and I'm in a group or I'm with a person, and if there's any way I can just excuse myself, I do that. I go to the bathroom, I get off the phone, because this can happen over the phone or over Zoom. I don't want to be doing that to you. I take care of my own energy. So stop, breathe, center yourself. And most of the time, what works the best is to bring yourself into the middle of your heart. Your heart, from a physical point of view, the physical heart gives off more subtle and physical energy than even your brain. It gives off 60,000 times the amount of electricity. Its electromagnetic field means, and is so extended, that you can find one of your electrons a football field away. There's also proof that if in your heart you hold the feeling, the acknowledgement of something positive, gratitude, joy, some sensation of satisfaction, some positive spiritual quality, your whole body is healthier. And those energy fields, subtle and physical, that are coming off of you will actually push away what's not good for you to pick up on and share goodness to those who are around you. This is the means through which you can bless others without bringing in what you don't want to, that's going to get you down and that's going to stop you up. On a daily basis, besides getting exercise, besides getting outside, besides going to my heart and continually focusing on something positive and life enhancing, and knowing that if I have to take action, like getting away or taking a breather or just saying out loud something doesn't feel right here, like I've already said, I go outside. There's nothing like getting outside to fill ourselves in. And let's say you're a bit more burdened or ridden, it's harder to get outside. Open the window or get a big picture of nature and put that up. Surround yourself with rocks, with stones, with images of being outside from when you were younger, or places that you want to go when you want to travel again. Anything natural gives you what you need to fill yourself in. And I just add this piece of advice. I struggle sometimes with judging those energy vampires. I need to remind myself that I'm just the other side of the coin. I'm the type of person who learned to give away my energy. Some people, in order to survive and to cope, learned to take energy. For some reason, they lack a connection to nature or to their own sense of self or to the oneness that can fill them in. And so they're just operating the opposite of me. If I don't participate, maybe eventually they'll learn that there's other sources for them than people or living organisms. They themselves can go to a good wellspring of joy and love and fill themselves in. So no more energy vampirism. Fill yourself in, stay filled in, and bloom. Andy, I'd love to turn it back to you to see if there's any questions from anybody, and we can get deeper into this topic of how not to be vampirized.
Sounds great, Cyndi. Cyndi will be right back in less than 30 seconds to answer your frequently asked questions and anything else that might be on your mind. Well, we're back, Cyndi, and we have a few questions here. First one comes from Stephanie. She is a grandmother of 2 school-age kids that keep her very, very busy, especially during COVID right now. And she feels so drained and needs to find something to bring some vitality to her life.
Yeah, I understand that. So, and they might not even be trying to vampirize you, but you know what kids do? They're like little whirlpools. So as they're moving without knowing it, they're little vortexes, they're tornadoes, and they pick up everybody else's energy that's around them, and then they spin more. I think you've probably noticed that sometimes the tireder you get, the more they spin as well. So when you're with them, without actually leaving them alone, when you can't do that, take as many breaks as you can, get a plant that you can stand near or sit near as much as you can, get outside. Hopefully they stay inside and you walk outside for a few minutes, or put them outside and get inside for yourself for a couple minutes, break them up a little bit, because kids' energies sort of, interrelate. They can create more of a vortex with each other. And in your downtime, I really, besides just like having crash time, get outside, walk, talk with somebody every day if you can that fills you in, somewhere where you can talk about your feelings, your emotions, and you can say, I'm really tired. The kids have tired me out. When I'm around really, really busy people, I also notice I have to eat every hour or so because I'll get more hypoglycemic. I don't go for the carbs. What I try to do, if it is a so-called carb, is do oranges, nuts. A great snack is like apples with some nut butter on it. So keep your physical energy up, and you're going to notice that you're able to sustain their energy, getting your downtime and walk time and moving time also when they're not around. So terrific question, especially during COVID.
Yeah. Cyndi, this one's from Debbie, and she's 66 and wondering whether yoga is a good way to maintain mindfulness.
Absolutely. Yoga actually works with subtle energy. Yoga practices are really based on the movement of subtle energy up through your feet and your legs into your chakras. Those are the energy organs that can turn subtle energy into physical and physical into subtle. So when you're doing yoga, you're bringing subtle energy up and you can turn it into physical energy. You don't even have to be good at yoga. You really don't. I mean, if you just get close to a few of the postures or do something like Tai Chi or Qigong, medical Qigong is great if you don't feel very good. You're going to be turning subtle energy into physical energy.
Wants to know, he says he's feeling more stressed now than ever in his life. He just turned 68. Do you have any good stress relievers?
I do. And some of that, I think, isn't just because you turned 68. It's probably because of everything that's happening around us. So very sensitive people, when there's this much challenge, fear in the world, uncertainty in the world, anger, big question marks, often lose their life energy and take on the fears, the lack of like positive news that can come right into your body and create sort of a downward spiral inside of yourself. So first of all, practically, like I don't actually physically watch the news. I may read it, but as soon as I engage with something that's more scary or frightening or creates that sense of panic inside of me, or the outside people are panicked, I immediately lose my energy. Get lost in a hobby. Find something you like. Find something that makes you work physically. I don't care if it's whistling or whittling or walking your dog or doing something that actually creates more physical energy in your body. That's helpful. The exercise I also like, it's a breathing exercise that combines with re-energizing through the middle of your heart, like literally your heart chakra. I always breathe into the middle of my heart, the breastbone, and there I land inside of it. And I like to image a light. That's my spirit. That's my essence. That's fed by whatever it is you call your higher power. And once I can envision or feel or sense that light, I let it shine in front of me, behind me, to the sides, and that will pull life energy up through your body. That will push out energies that aren't your own and revitalize you. It doesn't take long. You can do it in 1 second. I do that probably 5 or 6 times a day.
Can you stick around a couple of minutes and just talk about next week's show?
Yes,
All
I
right.
would love to.
Okay. Cyndi will be she'll be right back to do just that and talk a little bit about the show and how you can reach her. And Cyndi is back.
Hi, everybody.
Yeah.
So next week, we're going to talk about sexual energy and emotional energy. Sometimes we just feel stuck or blocked. We have nowhere to go with our sexual energy or our sensuality or our emotions. Maybe we don't have enough people to express them to, or we don't know what to do with certain feelings that we have. So we're going to talk about how to transform what can feel like stuck or blocked sexual and emotional energy into energy for passion, how to find a way and a place to channel that energy.
Well, it sounds exciting. Cyndi, I want to thank you so much. Learned a lot, and it's great to have you here today.
It's fun. And I'm CyndiDale.com. Really easy, CYNDIDALE. And I will see you all next week.
All right. If you want to be part of this amazing journey we're on here with Bloomer Boomer and the community, register on the website for the newsletter and qualify for member benefits as well. We will see you next week